9, 2, and 1. You take the burn deck list, I'll take the lantern control deck list, and we'll see what Ollie is capable of here.
I mean, there's Smash to Smithereens and Rakdos Charm in the sideboard for good measure. He's got a lot of game.
Gataxian Pro, gonna pay 2 life for that, huh? Yikes. Oof. Aintrazi's gonna see a hand here with Eidolon of the Great Revel, Boros Charm, Searing Blaze, Rift Bolt, 3 lands, Arid Mesa, Scalding Tarn, and a basic mountain. He'll record all this information and draw a card, and we'll see how he wants to move forward.
Not what Ollie wants to see, though.
I agree. Bad news over there for Aintrazi. Makes you wonder if he's played against Burn at all this weekend. Llanowar Waste is land number 1. He'll have to take 1 to play this Inquisition of Kozilek, it appears. And the one thing he can do is that he can get rid of that Eidolon, which I think is something he probably has to do.
Unless he has a way to kill it, which is hard for his deck to do. I mean, he has to get the Aether Grid and 4 artifacts in play. Not the easiest thing to do.
No, it doesn't sound too easy.
And already the bizarreness of Ollie's deck is on display here with a Gataxian Probe, a Llanowar Waste, and a Mox Opal.
Combo deck. Sort of. Kind of. Jake gonna take 1. We'll see what land he wants to search up. He'll go with the Sacred Foundation. So he'll make it 3 total. He's down to 17. Might have a suspended Rift Bolt on the way. We'll see. Humphries, one of our 8 players playing Burn on day number 2. Just going to play Grim Lavamancer, kick it back.
And Grim Lavamancer is a nice play here for Jake. It does give him something to do. You know, with excess cards in his graveyard, gives him a turn 1 play. Also allows him to finish off a spell Spellskite much more easily if it shows up. He already has 3 mana, so now his Searing Blaze alongside the Grim Lavamancer answers that card.
Aintrazi with the mishmash of cards in hand. Infernal Tutor, the Girapau Aether Grid, and a Ghoul Color spell. Oh, Infernal Tutor, okay. He's got to take 1 to cast it. I don't know what he's going to search for. Another Ghoul Color spell.
So this allows him to get another bell. He can cast both the bells. That turns on the Opal. The Opal can then turn on the grid, and then the 2 bells can kill the Lavamancer after Ollie has already taken lethal and they're shuffling up for game 2. So there's a path.
There is a path.
There's a path here.
There's a path. It's important to have a path. It's uphill.
Right.
Here's a mountain. There's the suspended Rift Bolt. Humphries will pass the turn back with the Grim Lavamancer activation at the ready. You know, we have seen decks like this that are very extreme over the course of Magic's history. I think of the Howling Mine deck, which was very good against control strategies and horrible against Zoo. You're taking a risk. Couple of bells.
Oh, now I can fill up the curve with a Gataxian Probe.
Yeah.
Very efficient turn.
Get a good look at the hand. Looks like another Rift Bolt, a Boros Charm, couple of lands. I did notice that the bell, not a combo with Grim Lavamancer.
No.
No. Don't really want to mill your opponent there. Here's a Lavamancer activation. I think the first of many. Aintrazi will take 2. Humphries will unsuspend that Rift Bolt. 3 damage will go upstairs to Aintrazi. Down to 11 he goes. There's a Bloodstained Mire. Humphries will sacrifice that. He'll go down to at least 16, potentially 14 here. His life total is a freebie in this matchup.
And I like what Jake is doing right now. I think a lot of people would have the instinct of just going and getting a Blood Crypt here. Jake feels like he can probably win this game without revealing that black mana is in his deck.
And you want to keep that information concealed if you can. Well, that's a hard one to beat.
That's a humdinger.
And Eidolon of the Great Revel. Yikes. Aintrazi will draw Academy Ruins.
Jake here also being very efficient with his Lavamancer.
Yeah, doesn't want to miss any activations. Ah, the grid. Oh, Jake wants to read it. Unfamiliar, huh? Guess he didn't see Ollie's feature match yesterday. the Gear Pow Aether Grid. Lavamancer's going to go upstairs. And a little assist from the Ghoul Caller Bells. Now he's free to mill.
Well, I don't think he's untapping.
I think you might be right. Here's a Goblin Guide. That'll trigger the Eidolon.
Got Boros Charm in hand, and so on and so forth.
There's the attack step. Aintrazi might reveal, might not, but there's a Boros Charm, and that is going to do it. Jake Humphries is going to win game number 1 here against Ali Aintrazi. Burn very quickly up a game over Lantern Control. It's a tough pairing here for Aintrazi, but as we take a look at the sideboard, we'll see if he's got any help with these 2 Graph Triggers Cages, 3 Welding Jars, a Seal of Primordium, a Sunbeam Spell Abomination Grudge, 3 Pyroclasm, 3 Sun Droplets, and a Thoughtseize. There are some tools here.
It's a great sideboard. I mean, the 1 copy of Sunbeam Spell Bomb and the 3 Sun Droplets are very helpful tools in helping Ali stabilize the game or potentially take over in the case of an uncontested Sun Droplet. 3 copies of Pyroclasm, pretty powerful against Jake's suite of creatures here. And I think you bring in the 3 copies of Welding Jar, anticipating some artifact removal.
All right, what do we see on the other side here for Humphries?
He's got a good sideboard for this matchup. I'm not sure if he was gunning for it specifically, but he's got 2 Smash Smithereens, 2 Path to Exile, 3 Rakdos Charm, 2 Deflecting Palm, 3 Skull Crack, 3 Core Firewalker. I think the 2 copies of Smash the Smithereens, excellent in this matchup. The 3 copies of Rakdos Charm, good for taking care of artifacts or attacking Ali's graveyard. He did show Academy Ruins, rather, so you can anticipate there's some graveyard stuff going on there.
Yep.
So Rakdos Charm can be dual purpose. And then I think the 3 copies of Skullcrack, you have to assume that Ali's going to be trying to beat you by some amount of life gain. And you can take out some of the inefficient burn spells like Rift Bolt and Searing Blaze and become more of an anti-life gain deck.
There's going to have to be a pretty heavy conversion here from Aintrazi. You have to imagine that he's played against this deck at least once over the course of the weekend. Burn's a pretty popular deck here this weekend.
And Jake is coming with a lot of heat for this matchup. The 2 Smash Smithereens and the 3 Rakdos Charms, more than what most Burn decks bring to the table here. So Jake's got a great game 1, and I think games 2 and 3 are also solid for him here.
Well, Aintrazi might be down a game, but at the Season 2 Invitational, he didn't lose very much at all, and that's why he's got his Angel token. You see him with his son Aiden. They're 4/4 flyers, and unfortunately, there's not a lot of time left to get this one.
Yeah, you can get it in a couple different ways here. You can sign up for any of our 2-day $20,000 Open Series event, any of our 5K Premier IQs, both the ones we run here on the Sundays of our Open Series events and the ones that you can bring to your local store. And any order from StarCityGames.com, $5 or more will come with this token. But we have an invitational coming next weekend, a new token coming down the pipeline. So if you want to get your hands on this Ali Aintrazi Angel token, either sign up for one of our large events as soon as possible or place an order from StarCityGames.com today.
Now, I know that you and Ali had a little discussion about his mixtape abilities. You're not buying what he's selling, Patrick.
We talked about this yesterday. Ali came up to me after the match, and I said, you are too young to be the best mixtape creator because that art peaked around, I'm about as young as you can be and have that be something that was part of your childhood. Not rapping mixtapes, but, you know, there's some potential significant other you're pining over and you want to give that person a collection of music.
Burn him a CD.
Right, exactly. And the track order matters and, you know, all that kind of stuff. And Ali is simply too young for that craft to be part of his childhood.
You just don't think it's possible that he could have caught up and mastered the game?
No.
Is it possible?
High Fidelity was before his time.
I don't even know what that is. I think that's a movie, right?
It was a book first, but then a movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it possible that he is the best professional teddy bear namer?
I can't speak to that.
Not your area of expertise?
No.
Okay.
I'm not very passionate about the competition of naming teddy bears.
Okay.
Mixtapes is a different thing.
Well, we can't argue that he is a 2011 national champion.
No. That's undisputed.
That is a fact. I'd like to see you guys have a mixtape off, if that's a thing.
I mean, my mixtape game is not great relative to people of my age. I'm fine at it. I'm just saying that I would take me against Ali heads up because of the age thing.
We got a challenge on our hand here, folks. Lantern of Insight is how Aintrazi is going to start things into a Welding Jar.
This is a great setup here for Aintrazi, though. He has Welding Jar plus Sun Droplet in his hand. That's not an easy package for Jake to navigate through this early on in the game.
Here's Goblin Guide.
Here's the thing about Sun Droplet. When you want to beat Burn, you know, you look at cards that gain a lot of life all at once, you know, things like Wormcoil Engine. Those cards are very vulnerable to Skull Cracks and those kind of cards. When you're gaining 1 life a turn, cards like Scavenging Ooze, that's a lot harder for Burn to interact with.
Jake gonna take a look at the old Sun Droplet. Mirrored uncommon, by the by. This one is hard for these red strategies to beat, actually.
Yeah, especially with Welding Char back up. I mean, that's a great setup that Aintrazi has. It's basically you, in the long term, don't deal damage for the rest of the game as long as this is in play. It's slow. It doesn't absorb huge chunks of damage very well. But if you're trying to, shuck and dive 2 or 3 damage a turn, Sun Droplet's really, really good, and that's exactly what Jake is up to.
Yeah, 2 counters on the Sun Droplet now. Now, the one thing to keep in mind with Sun Droplet, is at the beginning of each player's upkeep. Some people, you might think that, oh, yeah, it only happens on my turn, right, because it's my card. No, every upkeep you get to remove a counter and gain a life. And that's important. There are 2 counters on there now, so when Ollie goes his turn, he removes 1, gains a life. We go to Jake's turn, does the same thing.
No one ever has Sun Droplet, but it's on my list of cards I fear the most.
Well, now Smash Smithereens is being cast, so we take a look at that, and you see that Ali says, you know what? I can regenerate off of this with Welding Jar, so my Droplet's okay. Now my Droplet's up to 5.
Remember, long-term, Jake does not deal damage against this card.
Yep.
Now, the problem, the vulnerability of Sun Droplet is when you draw it on turn 5, it doesn't do very much.
It's horrible.
It's too late. But if you have it early on the play, it's really good.
Time to untap. Ollie's going to gain a life. The Droplet's going to start working its way into this game. Lantern of Insight is the draw. Top card of the deck is another Lantern of Insight. I believe Ollie has found too many of those. He's going to play that and a Ghoul Caller spell.
So it's safe to say that Aintrazi is really leaning on Sun Droplet this game.
That's your expert analysis here.
Because the rest of this board is not doing a whole lot.
A Rakdos Charm on top of the deck. That one might get milled.
Yeah.
There's an Arid Mesa.
All right, Jake has another Shatter effect. He's got 2 smashes and 3 charms in the deck. Ollie's in big trouble.
And Jake's going to search up a land. He might have a Blood Crypt on the way.
But Aintrazi's got great game here if Jake can't get the Sun Droplet off the table.
There is the Blood Crypt.
A lot of cards in Magic are on diminishing returns. Second copy of Sensei's Divine Top, a lot worse than the first one. Second copy of a lot of cards, worse than the first one. Lantern of Insight is on diminishing returns. Second copy, a lot worse than the first one, which is already not that good.
Boros Charm on top deck now. Oh, he does have a Rakdos Charm. Jeez, it's a good draw from Humphries.
Yep. Loaded up on Shatters this weekend, and he's getting paid off.
Here comes Goblin Guide. Ali is going to... He means to activate the Ghoul Caller spell, not the Lantern of Insight there. There we go. That was what he meant to do. So now we see the top card. Oh, well. The Aether Grid. When this deck looks bad, it looks horrible.
This is just not the type of matchup that Aintrazi's looking to play.
Absolutely.
Here. He doesn't defend himself well early on in the game against creatures, nor does he defend himself well against burn spells later in the game. And that makes this matchup about as bad as it's going to get because Jake's doing both things.
Now, for what it's worth, when this deck looks good, it looks like unbeatable.
Yeah, I mean, the match we had yesterday where Aintrazi played against Tron, it looked like once the game got past a certain point, the Tron player was basically locked out.
It was hopeless.
But that deck was at least giving Aintrazi a couple free turns of setup here. Jake is not doing that because game 1 he's killing on turn 4, and game 2 he's applying a lot of pressure backed up by Shatters, and that's just asking a lot of Aintrazi's deck to be able to overcome.
Ghoul Caller's Bell is the reveal. Lava Spike's going upstairs. Aintrazi going a little bit lower. He's down to 10. He'll draw the bell. Take a look at the top card. It's another bell. There is a bell. He'll activate that right now. Next card, Ensnaring Bridge. All right. Activate the bell, turn over the Eidolon. Riftbolt and Llanowar Waste. Ollie with a Pithing Needle. I guess he can name Grim Lavamancer with that.
He can also name Fetch Lands and just hope.
Ah, the fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Looks like all you can do is pass the turn back.
2 pairs, lanterns and bells.
Yeah, it's a strong poker hand. and Blackleaf Cliffs.
Yeah.
2 pairs all around.
I believe this is known as the Nut Low. The wheel.
Top card of the deck is a Scalding Tarn. Aaron Mason the land here for Jake. Here's an attack. Ollie's going to get to draw that land away from the Goblin guy. He's going to go down to 8. Top card of the deck is a bridge. He's got to get this hand empty. If he can somehow stop Jake from drawing burn spells and can make it so that he only draws creatures, he might be able to get the job done. Let's see the top card, Glimmer Void. There's the bridge.
1 card in hand.
Yeah, it's just the needle. Boros Charm's going upstairs. That's painful. Aintrazi's down to 4. And Jake's going to sacrifice that Arid Mesa. So we're going to see the top card of his deck here in just a minute. He's getting himself a Sacred Foundry. This is going to be real hard for Ali.
Well,
But
a lot of Jake's creatures are locked out. It is tough. He basically needs Jake to be revealing spells that he can mill over and then drawing lands.
Yeah.
And that has to happen for basically the whole game. Even the creatures here, I mean, even though there's a bridge lock in play, Monastery Swiftspear can at least attack this turn. Doesn't look like Jake's drawing it. Eidolon and Grim Lavamancer are certainly still alive.
And that's the one I was going to bring up, which is on top of Jake's deck, which is Bump in the Night.
Got flashback.
Yeah,
Not good to mill over.
And you want to give him lands.
Yeah.
So
One of the benefits of playing black, it improves your matchup against the Bell deck because you get Rakdos Charm and Bump. Every edge.
Aintrazi deciding if he wants to mill.
I mean, this is a tough squeeze.
I think he'd like to draw the land. Land more waste on top of the deck. He'll play the Glimmer Void. He's going to play the Needle. We'll see what he wants to name with the Needle.
He might even force to name something like Bloodstained Mire.
Just so he doesn't get to land 6.
Right, it's a really tough spot.
He's going to go Grim Lavamancer. Fast turn back. Lightning Bolt's going upstairs. Aintrazi's down to 1. And I think in Jake's hand is land number 6, I think. He'll mill. Goblin Guide. Yeah, you can have that one. Swiftspear. Yep, there's Scalding Tarn. That's the land of Flashback Bump in the Night. Yep. I guess if you're Ali, what do you try to mill all the lands?
You at least make sure he has a land to go get.
Yeah. Yeah, that's going to do it. Jake Humphries is going to win this matchup over Ali Aintrazi. Burn is going to take care of Lantern Control. It's a real good matchup for Burn.
I mean, in that second game, Ali was kind of approaching having the game stabilized a little bit. If he had a life gain effect, I think he could have actually pulled ahead because, Jake was under Staring Bridge lock, and with the right breaks, Ali could have managed his draw steps for at least a while. But Jake coming to the table with a lot of shatter effects, drew 2 of his 5, was really, really important there because I think Ali could have won game 2 just on Welding Jar, backed up by Sun Droplet against most versions of Burn. But Jake was just really ready for this matchup incidentally.
Yeah, it was going to take 2 artifact removal spells to get the job done there.
Yeah, and that's a lot more than a lot of lists of Burn have.
Yeah.
Rakdos Charm is a versatile card. It gives you some game against Splinter Twin. If they get sloppy, you can kill them. It allows you to attack the graveyard. That's valuable in a variety of matchups. And it's just more shatters for matchups like